All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hey! It's nice to see you all again. We made it a whole nother year. All right. First off, yes, there's a green screen now for those of you who haven't tuned in a while. Welcome. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Eat Sleep Complete, and this is the Year in Review 2023. Thank you all for joining me. Now, for those of you who are with us for the first time or have forgotten how we do this since last year, I will be covering the top 10 games that I played this year. Does not matter what if it was released this year or if it was on a specific platform. Doesn't matter. If I played it this year, it is in the running. So, like last year, we're going to be having a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions or if you just have a remark that you want me to respond to, save it for the end. Because there will be one. You know, we did it last year. I thought it worked well. We're going to have another one this year. Okay. So, welcome back, everyone, to the Year in Review 2023. Without further delay, let's get started with the bottom of our list, number 10. Starting at number 10 this year, we have our usual indie darling game, Lumberjack. Now, no one gets any bonus points for guessing what the theme is, nor the animal that the main character portrays, but to be honest, this one was a pretty easy addition to our list this year. It's got a lot of personality, a simple but fun premise, and an overall good message for its audience. You, as a bear that is also you play a bear that is also a lumberjack, and humans, we're doing what we always do, destroying nature, polluting Mother Earth, and it's up to our grisly hero to show us the error of our ways. Now, upon saying all of this, I am realizing that some of you may be thinking I'm describing some kind of hack and slash game, and let me be clear, I'm not. The game is very cute, as you can see by the gameplay below. I've included, and it's mostly focused on breaking up bigger trash into smaller trash so that it can be cleaned up and recycled. Yeah, it's a clean 'em up, one of my favorites. The game builds up to a boss fight, which is against a pollution mech that would make Jeff Bezos very, very happy. This short 2 to 3 hour experience ends with the Earth clean, humans living in harmony with nature, and the Lumberjack returning home for a well-deserved rest. This game is available for most modern consoles and PC and is a very fun distraction for all ages. Highly recommended, and a great start to our top 10. Well done. All right. Up next this year, number 9, something interesting that we've not done before. Number 9 this year is Pokemon Infinite Fusion. So now, growing up, I'm sure we all had this idea of what if X Pokemon, right, was fused with Y Pokemon? Well, now, nearly 25 years later, we have the answer. Pokemon Infinite Fusion was a game we played on stream here briefly this year. It's an unofficial ROM hack supported by the hard work of hundreds of artists in the Pokemon community as they try to answer the age-old question, what would it look like if every Pokemon was fused with every other Pokemon? It is really quite the ambitious project, and obviously with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of combinations, and solely relying on a community volunteer effort, not every combination is going to have a cool custom sprite that had everyone excited a few months back. But regardless, it is an amazing effort and a really fun game. Infinite Fusion took us all the way through the original Kanto region, into the Orange Islands, across the Elite Four mountain range, and into the Johto region in a custom adventure. We met hundreds of unique fusions, fully scripted NPCs, new puzzles added to classic areas, and much, much more. The ROM hack is still out there and is still being updated to this day, and I'd highly encourage anyone who knows what a Pikachu is to seek it out and try for themselves. Number 8 this year was also played on stream. It is Pac-Man World Repack. So, for number 8 this year, I'd like to tell you all a little bit of a story to get you into the same headspace that I was in. When I was much younger, my mom had taken myself and my brother to the local grocery store, and of course, being younger kids, we really couldn't care less about actually shopping around for the things we needed. We'd rather be back home running around outside, or in my case, playing video games. Well, as it turns out, the local grocery store had a solution for that. They had a space within the store that parents could check their kids into while they shopped, and it had toys, it had space to run around, but most importantly, it had a PS2. So I wandered over to the PS2 to see what their library looks like, and I see something familiar, yet foreign to me. It's a game about Pac-Man. He's on the cover, but he's in 3D and has legs and arms. All right, what is this? What is this? I needed to try it. So what followed was the only hour of my life that I was able to play Pac-Man World 2 for the PS2. And after that, as a kid with no money, it was gone forever, because by the time my birthday rolled around, all the new games had come out and my shot at ever acquiring this strange game passed by me. Okay, so fast forward to June 2022. You see a new trailer coming out for some kind of Pac-Man game, and hey, wait a minute, this looks familiar. That's right, Bandai Namco surprised us all with a remake of the first Pac-Man World, which originally came out on the PS1. I was ecstatic, I was hyped, because not only did this mean that if it sold well, then a remake of the second one, the one that I had played, was on the table. But I also didn't own a PS1 growing up, and so now I can also try the first one for the first time ever. Honestly, I may be hyping this up a little bit more than it deserves, nostalgia glasses, all that good stuff. But this game actually does hold up more than you'd expect. It's not as open world as I remembered the sequel being, but it still has a load of fun inside with a side-scrolling 2.5D Mario-style platformer and puzzle solving. This trip down memory lane greatly deserves its spot on the list this year, and here's hoping, everyone, that Bandai Namco, I'm sorry, they changed the name like every 3 years at this point, graces us with the sequel next year. All right. Number 7 this year, quite a few of you have probably already played. It is Disney Dreamlight Valley. So this game was a big surprise this year. For those of you who aren't in the know, Gameloft, down there, the guys that make this game, Gameloft, they are infamous in the achievement hunting community and the gaming community at large. They're known largely for making low-effort, bad-quality, cash-grab phone games. So imagine everyone's collective shock when this game got announced, and it looked good, and it was being made by Gameloft. And it was good. I played the heck out of this game earlier this year, and while I'm still not done with it, I did sink my teeth in, and it is a fantastic game that plays a lot like Animal Crossing, but with Disney characters, and I still kind of jump scare myself when the Gameloft logo comes up at the startup screen. Dreamlight Valley has you play as your player character, trying to restore Dreamlight Valley from a plague known as the Forgetting. Seems everyone's lost their memories, and it's up to you to fix things. From there, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Help Ariel get back to the mainland after getting washed out to sea during a storm. Help Remy get his restaurant set up and gain the ability to cook meals for everyone. You can go fishing with Goofy if you want. That's Goofy's thing. He fishes. Really, this is just a very zen game, and I love the heck out of it. And they're still supporting it, too. With the most recent upcoming update going to include Gaston, Rapunzel, Mike Wazowski, and Eve from Wall-E. Now, I do believe this is playable on just about any device, so if you're a fan of anything Disney, please check it out. So now, number 6 this year is a bit of an oddball, and I'm going to ask that you all hear me out first, all right? Borderlands 3 was just an okay game. I say this as a fan of the series, and at this point you're probably wondering, hey, why is this number 6 if it's just okay? The answer is a little bit complicated. Borderlands 3 is another entry in the looter shooter genre from Gearbox, makers of everything Borderlands. And to be honest, as you all can see here, while it's a decent game to play and have fun while you're like listening to a podcast or some other side activity, it's not really a game I'd recommend playing on its own just, for an afternoon. It's okay, and in every aspect of the game, it's okay. The gameplay is okay, but gets repetitive. The art style is okay, but it's a bit tired because they've been using it since the 360. The voice acting is okay, and it's really cringy this time around. Now, as I was working my way through the game, I started one of the DLC packs called Bounty of Blood, and I swear to you, it is like the game knew that I was just coasting through and took offense, just slapping me across the face with the most compelling story, not just in Borderlands 3, but in the entire Borderlands series. And it's a Western! I don't even like Westerns. Yes, the game about shooting guns and picking up guns from things you just shot wrote one of the best Western action dramas I've ever seen and just casually included it as a downloadable content. Every cutscene, every vista, every character left me wanting more. And to put things in perspective, y'all, this game was not even going to be on this list until I played the Bounty of Blood DLC. That is how much that chunk of content is carrying the rest of the game. Quite possibly, one of the oddest showings on this show ever, and a very confusing number 6 on this year's list. Well done, Borderlands Bounty of Blood DLC, I guess. All right. So this next one you all had to have seen coming. As you know, one of my favorite shows since I was a kid was SpongeBob. And one of my favorite games of all time is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Rehydrated. That's the re-release. Or SSBFBBRH for those who tuned in last week. Well, the success of the aforementioned game's re-release on modern platforms showed Nickelodeon that there was still a massive audience of kids who wanted to play their games, and now adults with disposable cash who wanted to play their games again. And thus, we got SpongeBob SquarePants and the Cosmic Shake. And if you told me that this was a direct sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom back in the day, I'd have believed you. Puzzle platforming, just like its predecessors, with colorful worlds and enemies, plenty of collectibles, and the just slightly off animation and voiceovers that they just can't seem to get right. A solid entry that I loved from start to finish. I'm hoping, as well, that the rumors of another SpongeBob game being in the works also turn out to be true. Number 4 this year was a game that I played because it was coming off of Game Pass. Now, I knew it was on the service. I saw it advertised, but what I didn't know was just what it was. As it turns out, it's a wonderful little indie game that takes inspiration from the likes of Pikmin. It's Tinykin, everyone. How did they not put any of that in the marketing? I would have loved to have played it so much earlier had I known it even existed. Tinykin finds the main character of the game crash-landed in a strange house. Now, mind you, he's stranded, but he's also the size of an ant, so everything in the house is gigantic. And you need to find a way back to your planet, but your semi-magical thingy that makes your stuff work is broken and is scattered about the house. As you roam around each of the levels, or in other words, the different rooms of the house, you'll pick up these little multicolored fellas that you can see in the gameplay below, and they will help you with puzzles, and they will also occasionally carry your stuff. It's a very charming game, and it is also a massive collectathon, with each level containing sometimes upwards of 300 things that are scattered around that you have to grab. I won't spoil the ending because it's very heartfelt, but I literally could not put the controller down on this one. Such a fun world that the devs have created here, and I've got them on my list for developers to keep an eye out for any future projects that they put out. Well done. Number 4, Tinykin. Now, have you all just sat down intending to check something out, whether it be a book or a movie or a game, and then you look at the clock after a little while, and it's nearly midnight, and you've been at it all day? Well, our number 3 game was that game for me this year. It's the Rift Breaker. Originally, I checked this one out as well because it was leaving Game Pass. It looked interesting, and man, I am glad that I looked this game up. I'm glad I played it. So happy. Because I liked this game so much. I was playing on the PC version originally. I liked this game so much that I went out and bought the disc version as well so that I could play it back to back. Now, I don't really know what I expected, to tell you the truth. It looked like a top-down mech-themed game, and I figured, that ticked enough boxes for me to be interested in it. So I loaded it up, and I was met with a mech-themed tower defense, base building, resource management game like I've not played for some time. I don't know what it is about that combination of genres, but you guys, it just does it for me for some reason. My first session of this game was nearly 14 hours long, and I only stopped because Kingdom poked her head into my office to tell me she was going to bed at 2 a.m. As for the story, there's not much to it. You're a scout for Earth, looking for inhabitable planets that can have their resources exploited, yada, yada, yada. You've heard it all before. It's the same generic stuff in dozens of other different sci-fi things. But man, the gameplay. You start fairly bare bones, and then you start leveling up your tech tree, unlocking new tech, new buildings, methods of production, protection, and resource extraction, and it all just snowballs from there. Now, I recognize that this kind of game isn't for everyone, and that's fine, but for me, easily one of the best ones I've played this year, and a well-deserved spot at number 3. Alright. The next one has been a series that I've wanted to play for a very long time, and up until a few years ago, it was only on PlayStation consoles. This is largely because Sega didn't think that it had a Western audience, and they put a few of the games onto Xbox just to test the waters, and their Western audience exploded. The games are so popular here that they are getting front-page advertising on the Xbox store, and new series entries are being announced at the Xbox panels at events like Summer Games Fest. This game is best described as a Japanese Grand Theft Auto, and is a series that follows a handful of characters but mostly focuses on Kiryu, a low-level mobster, or rather, former low-level mobster, trying to clear his name amongst other things. There are a total of 7 games in the series, 0 through 6, with spin-offs like Gaiden and Judgment, and a sequel series called Like a Dragon. It really is just all over the place. But Yakuza 0, the starting point, I decided to jump in earlier this year and was hooked immediately. There is so much to do in these games. At one point, I got sidetracked from the main quest, where you're trying to solve a real estate-related murder case, and then I just went and became the world slot car racing champion. And after I did that, I was like, I don't really feel like going back to the main story just yet. And so I bounced between trying to bowl a perfect 300 in order to win a live chicken, and becoming a small-time real estate mogul myself. By the way, I did eventually win the chicken, and that chicken ended up becoming one of my property managers. Now, fitting in everything that's possible in these games, let alone this series here, is impossible. But I had a blast with it, and I am looking forward to diving back in at some point in the future. So, before we move on to our number 1 game this year, as is tradition, we will also cover the absolute worst game that I played this year, as well as a surprise for longtime viewers, something I have never done on this broadcast. Our biggest disappointment of the year, the worst game that I played in 2023 is Danganronpa V3. This is, without a doubt, the biggest year-to-year upset that has ever happened on this channel. Last year, for those of you who attended, you may remember, Danganronpa, the first game in this series, took home a respectable 4th place in the top 10. And the same developers took home Game of the Year as well with AI The Somnium Files. So, what on earth happened here? Let's do a little bit of a recap. Danganronpa is a murder mystery about a killing game. The world is shrouded in mystery, with every entry having over-the-top characters trying to stay alive while others try and murder them in creative ways to escape. I greatly enjoyed the first game as we played it here on stream, and while the second one was definitely not as good, laughing at the absurdity of the sequel made up for the drop in quality and even spawned some of the memes here on the channel. Nobody mention elevators or how they work, okay? Then, shortly after this broadcast last year, we played the third one, Danganronpa V3. I thought to myself, if this one wasn't going to be as good as the other two, at least it might be more absurd, so we could get some laughs out of it. And unfortunately, I got exactly what I asked for. The story of Danganronpa V3 proceeds as expected, but at the very end, the killer reveals herself to be an employee of a worldwide entertainment company that produces the killing games. Danganronpa is a TV show, and V3 does not stand for version 3, as I had initially thought. The in-game explanation is that it's the first Roman numeral and then a regular number. It's 53, as in the 53rd season of the TV show. All of the mystique, the questions, the plot lines, the character backstories, everything is manufactured for a fictional TV show. There is, no joke, an entire monologue done by the villain that states over and over again that people want this. They want more killing games. And then the villain looks directly at the camera and says things along the lines of, "Why are you upset? Isn't this what you wanted? More killing games?" And then my chat chimed in. A little bit of a backstory. People have been bugging Spike Chunsoft, the devs of this series, for more Danganronpa endlessly for years. And rather than say something normal along the lines of, quote, "We love Danganronpa and we're glad it has the fans that it does. We're not saying no more ever again, but we have other stories to tell at this time. Stay tuned." Y'all, they went and made a whole game just to tell their rabid fan base off and make fun of them. I was gobsmacked. This was a series that I didn't have access to as an Xbox player, so this was all my first exposure to the series. And to be honest, it felt like they had taken my interest in the series as a personal affront and slapped me across the face for it. Like it was my fault. I even liked the series, and why was I playing it anyway? I have never, ever before seen a developer be this level of petty. I was honestly kind of amazed and weirdly hurt at the same time. Anyways, this tangent has gone on long enough, much like Danganronpa V3. The worst game I played this year above all others, literally hundreds of games, was Danganronpa V3. Not just because it was a poorly written, overly complicated mess, but because it killed any and all interest I had in an otherwise fun world they'd created. And with this revelation, everyone, something that I have never, ever done before, I am officially issuing a retraction of last year's number 4 winner, Danganronpa. As of today, Danganronpa, the first game in the series, has not won the 4th place in 2022's Year in Review stream. Now, I'm aware that some of you might be disturbed by this development, and please know I don't make this decision lightly. But I felt, and still feel, strongly enough about the negative effect of Danganronpa V3's impact on the series that I have no other choice. With that, I am putting this part of our discussion and the Danganronpa series to rest. Everyone please prepare as I reveal our number 1 of the year of 2023. Our game of the year, above hundreds of other games, is Hogwarts Legacy. Now, in what is potentially just the most shocking thing that has ever happened since I started doing this show, ladies and gentlemen, a Harry Potter game took first place. Now, I've made it no secret in the past that I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter stuff. I was initially very hesitant to play this. However, my chat made that decision for me this year, since it was a winner of a community game pick. And what was going to be a single stream turned into a full playthrough because of just how much fun this game is. Now, you can tell that the team that made this are huge fans of the franchise. Everything in this game is made with the die-hard love that only a Harry Potter superfan has for the series. Everything in this world is phenomenal, and I'm really at an impasse here, because nothing I am going to say can do this game any justice. It's really just something you need to experience for yourself. I won't try and explain the whole thing here, but the basic gist is that you're a new student at Hogwarts. You have the ability to see an ancient magic type that no one else can. There's a whole mystery regarding the school's past that gets dug up amidst a goblin civil war. And, of course, only you, with the help of your friends and allies, can intervene to save the whole wizarding world. You get the idea. The visuals in this game are flawless. The gameplay loop is fun. Exploring every corner of the map for the next thingamabob or what's-it that'll add to your magical power is engaging. And of course, I chuckle every time I'm in combat, casually just icing people with Avada Kedavra. Turns out those forbidden curses are really just strongly suggested against using curses in this game. I digress. Hogwarts Legacy is a fantastic game that really makes you feel like the main character of your favorite Harry Potter movie. I really need to stress just how much you all need to go out and play it if you haven't already. You can thank me later. And with that, the year comes to a close. It has certainly been a bumpy ride, to say the absolute least, but I appreciate everyone here's support. The channel here continues to grow thanks to all of you. I do this because I have fun with it, but it is the support I receive in the process from friends, family, and the community that we've built here that keeps me going. Below are a few of the stats I could dig up from Twitch and other sources this year, because for some reason Twitch was being really dodgy with the statistics. We had 141 broadcasts this year. We had 1,800 hours watched. You all watched that much of my stream. Thank you. We had 18 new subscribers and 46 new followers for a total of 146 now. Thank you, everyone. You all spent well over 500,000 channel points. Holy cow. And 25,000 chat messages were sent, grand total, this year. Now, Twitch also included top followers, but there was no specific order. So right down here, guys, if you see your name there, congrats. You were in the top whatever Twitch used to determine. I figured this was important to include so that the people who were at the top knew that they were at the top. What metrics were used to pull that information, I don't know. There was no specific order. I don't know why, so congrats. All right. Down here, we've also got the biggest games that were streamed this year. Now, I believe It is based on how much we streamed them, because Yakuza and Danganronpa V3 were both two of the biggest stream games. I think we played each of them for at least a month and a half. And as far as projects on the way for this upcoming year, more emotes, a new broadcasting source program, a new layout potentially, and I'm also looking into getting VODs put up more regularly. That's going to be my New Year's resolution, is to try and stay on top of that more. Speaking of old VODs, I discovered what was taking up all the storage space on my PC recently. It is the entirety of the Assassin's Creed playthrough, all recorded from start to finish. So I'm going to be working on getting those up on YouTube so I can delete them and clear up some space. Now, we're at the end, so we're going to go ahead and start the Q&A session. I have seen all of you chatting on the side here in my peripheral. I've seen you all freaking out over why people are not the top follower, despite the fact that it very clearly says on the screen in no specific order and the explanation. So it says no specific order. I don't know why there wasn't a specific order. Take it as you will. Blame Twitch. So if anyone here in chat has questions, comments, concerns, thank you, Farood, for the follow. It's much appreciated. Let me see here. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds if you have any questions. If not, we will go ahead and move on here. Where is Modern Warfare 3? Well, Farood, I need you to understand. Modern Warfare 3 was it was a game. It was one of the games of all time, but it wasn't the worst. It was not the worst by far. Danganronpa V3 was the worst game I played this year. That is something that I'm not just like, this game's garbage, it's the worst of the year. I put a lot of thought and weighing things into, what falls into what category and so on and so forth. Exactly. Big Chill said it best. Modern Warfare 3 was a thing that happened. All right. Well, everyone, if there are no more questions, I think that is where we are going to end it for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the longest year in review stream that we have done. I was finishing typing this up last night, and I'm comparing notes, being like, how did I do it last year? And I pull up the script for 2022, and 2023 was a full 2.5 pages longer than 2022. So they keep getting bigger, they keep getting better. Who knows, maybe next year I'll have a podium and dress up in a suit, or have trophies, something like that. That is where we're going to call it for the day, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'll see you all tomorrow with Dead Monday and our next installment of Little Nightmares. And then on Wednesday, we'll likely be doing more Hoko Life, because there won't be a stream on Tuesday. You could have done that this year, you slacker. Yeah, I could have. I didn't, but I could have. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's greatly appreciated. If you're not following yet, go ahead and drop a follow. That is also greatly appreciated. We go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to close. And what is close? It's whenever I feel like the stream is over. If you got here late, or if folks weren't able to make it, do not worry. I will be putting this up on YouTube right away. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful evening and a fantastic rest of your weekend. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll see y'all later. Have a good night.